yeah, team one, the social entrepreneurship team. All the best. Madhusudan, good to see you. Thanks for joining. We were not expecting, but thank you so much. So Professor Madhusudan is our colleague at IIT Delhi, heading the design program over there, head of the design program. And of course, we also work on the design innovation center there. Lot of encouragement Professor Madhusudan gives to the students. In fact, the only DIC which has more entrepreneurs in our whole 20 DICs is from IIT Delhi, and phenomenal flexibility in taking innovation forward. Thanks, Madhusudan. Yeah, students, go ahead and get your team together.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce our team. We'll see together. We're a team of 5. Myself, Shubhi. There's Mayuri, Nikita, Gautam, and Vijay. We've all come from different domains, and we've learned new roles and mustered up the courage to figure out how to maintain those roles and plan an entrepreneurship thing together. Our mentor, Professor P.V.M. Rao and Professor B.K. Chakravarti, of course, thank you so much for being here. We had one common mission that we wanted to build a business for a social cause. Our mission was to design for disability. So we wanted to come up with a physical or a digital product for the blind and visually impaired and assist them in their day-to-day activities, increase independency and add ease in their day-to-day activities, also learn about the existing alternatives and try to ease their pain points with the existing alternatives. So our business thesis is that we have come up with a digital product that helps the blind and visually challenged people by providing them round-the-clock live assistance. So when I say live assistance, I mean we're adding a human touch to the AI assistive interactions that we see every day and in their day-to-day activities. So the problems that they might have are checking expiry dates, maybe with purchase transactions, distinguishing colors. There's reading instructions or navigating through new surroundings. So it's like Ola, but it's for blind people and sighted volunteers. So we will connect sighted volunteers to people who are beneficiaries of the application who will request a video call or request audio call to solve a problem, to communicate and solve a problem. We can assist through a live video call. And through the video call, the blind person and the sighted volunteer can communicate directly. Of course, there are other measures that we've taken into account. There is safety and security. There is what should our value proposition be? So we've tried to also come up, say that we will have regional languages. So we'll offer, so if a Tamil person wants to use AI, it's usually in English or Hindi, or it's usually in a language that they might not be comfortable with. So we wanted to connect two people who would be comfortable talking and solve a basic task together. So we wanted to do that. And for the volunteers also, people who regularly work for a social cause or people who want to have a willingness to help, they can volunteer from home. So it's a digital product. And of course, seeing COVID and seeing the kind of course, what we've gone through collectively. During COVID also, there were so many helplines and so much that people were doing while they were sitting from home. I thought this was something that volunteers would be willing to accept. Volunteer from home, and we can also add incentives, add cashbacks, maybe add some coupons, maybe try to incentivize that whole process. But this is the solution that we came up with.
So basically our problem statement is to make physical or digital products that would be aiding people, like visually impaired people, on their day-to-day activities, right? So we thought of what kind of solutions we could provide them. So initially we were thinking of creating a text to Braille product called Braille STEM that would be printed that would print numbers and alphabets in Braille on medicine strips, and which would be working in a manual lock method. After more explorations, we thought of widening our point of view and kind of thought about making it not just on medical things, but on other bills and receipts, and also modifying the product to be easily incorporated in existing billing machines such that the process can be automated. Also, after a few sessions, one session with Professor P.V.M. Rao, we got to know some feedbacks, and we thought of revising some of the pain points by talking to more blind people and visually challenged people. And finally, we thought about working on a text-to-speech model and building a digital product to provide some kind of assistance. So during our talk with Professor PVM Rao, he pointed out a few corrections. That is, basically there were a lot of concerns with the text to braille method, like there are a lot of different languages that it can be translated into. Also the physical thing that we would use to make the braille markings that might be degraded over time, production costs, manufacturing costs, a lot of other things. The second point is also he told us to understand the pain points with existing methods, digital methods such as UPI payments. And another thing that he told us was to redesign the existing digital system after identifying those pain points. So pivoting back to this suggested focus area, it was the text-to-speech technology, existing practices and methods for payments, and digital solutions.
So after the conversation with Professor PVM Rao, we tried to talk to more people basically and widen our focus and widen what we're thinking, and also test some of our assumptions that we're making about blind people. Would they want to use a digital product? Would they want AI? Would they want AI over human interaction, or would they prefer to speak to a person? Would they be willing to ask help from strangers? So we spoke to both sides of the product, right? We spoke to volunteers as well as people who would be benefiting from the applications. So for volunteers, we had almost 5 to 6 interviews, and we picked up people who had roles that have worked, who have volunteered before, people who are into social work, who are pursuing masters in social work, psychologists, people who worked at the addiction centers, people who work with people who live with a disability. And the target group is NGOs, young students, people willing to help from home, age group, a young sort of age group, 18 to 30 years old. So they would have time, and maybe they would want to give back to the society. They would want to download the app or something. So there was this thing in class that we learned to sell before we build, to try to test our product before we build it. So we tried to do that. So the questions that we asked were majorly what drives them to contribute to a social cause? What is it that makes them want to help others? How do they come across NGOs or places that they want to work at? So what are the channels that we can get volunteers from? If we build an app, how will we make them download our app? How are they going to hear about it? How are they going to choose that app? And have they faced what are the issues that they face? Are there any language issues? Are there any issues with building trust? And a lot of insights that we received from these interviews. So the most important ones that I would like to highlight are people were like, you have to include sensitivity training. So when you're recruiting volunteers in your app, you will have to make them go through some sort of basic sensitivity training while dealing with people with challenges, with visual challenges. And also what we understood is in social work areas, word of mouth is a really big thing. So they would not want to work at a place which is being advertised. They would want to work at a place which their friend has advised them that this is a genuine place. This is a place that's helping people. So channels of finding places to work at, how do we promote our app there? And also the importance of word of mouth to look for how do they reach there, and would they use an application like that? So the insights were very positive. Actually, people were very happy that they can help from home. That's something that they were very excited about, that if I can make a small change in someone's life and I'm at home and it's taking 10 minutes out of my day, I would be very willing to do it. People were agreeing for it without incentives as well. Then when we included incentives, like we can provide certificates. If you do 50 assists in a month, we can provide certificates that you can add in your resume. We can collaborate with Internshala, any other companies that can, validate those certificates and give cashbacks and coupons. So they were very interested.
So our potential beneficiaries include a visually challenged person and people from NGOs, blind hostels and schools. And the main motivation behind is the fact that like most of the visually challenged people are not happy with an AI solution. So they are in need of a live assistance. So we have talked with 5 of our beneficiaries and we asked them about some of the common problems that they're facing while performing everyday tasks, potential applications that they use and assistance they require and the main concerns during a monetary transaction and the language barrier. And from this interview, we listed down some of the main insights. Okay, so we came to know that most of the everyday activity of a visually challenged person can be aided through a smartphone, but most of the people are not aware of such capabilities, and there is a clear need of more awareness in this field. And some of the existing apps like Envision AI uses artificial intelligence for assist, and thus the human-centric approach is lost. Also, these apps generally operate in English language, which is a barrier to most of the people. The main motivation of our beneficiaries include live assistance and assistance in regional language. And also we are dealing with human to human interaction, thus reducing the frustrations with the AI. We also provide a feature where the beneficiaries can save their favorite volunteer, thus making a genuine friendship among them. So these are our value proposition. So our product is a digital application for live assistance, and our main customers are blind and visually challenged people who are in need of assistance, and also the volunteers who are willing to help. Through our app, like we are dealing with human touch to assistive interaction, which is our biggest gain, and the gain creators are these volunteers. The main pain point that we tackle is that the language barrier and the lack of confidence during the monetary transaction, which is relieved by providing a live assistance by these volunteers.
So this is our lean canvas where we identified a possible business plan, and the following is our business model. Now, to start with a business model, customer identification is of utmost importance. So we have two sections of customers here. One are the volunteers, who can be students or anybody from the society who will get remunerated through various ways for the help they are providing to the visually impaired. The second are the visually impaired, who are the beneficiaries who will avail our services. Now, both our customers would require some benefits from us. For this, the volunteers would require us to provide recognition and appreciation, also some incentives for their help that they're providing. And the beneficiaries would want us to live up to our value proposition and be their eyes for them to solve issues that they face in their day-to-day life. Now, from here, we build a relationship between the volunteers and the visually impaired. The volunteers will be provided with some incentives which will motivate them to help our visually impaired. And since it's a paid service, the visually impaired will pay some amount so that the cycle continues. Now, channels to approach them would be through audio mediums like radios and advertisements to attract their attention.
So coming to next section of value proposition, we will propose to provide an app that will serve as a live assistant in regional language, which will the assistant will be available to the users in even and odd hours. Also, we'll also consider of the safety and security to carry out daily activities without any hindrance or without any language barriers. Coming to key activities, first we will consider to provide a live assistant and taking care of security of any breaches. Also, there will be a software development there which will need to develop like a software which will strategize the supply of volunteers and the funds. And the key sources will be financial aids, server to store data, security developers. Key partners will be corporate bodies like Jio, Myntra, Swiggy, and suppliers will be a crowdfunding and seed funding. Also, some brands which will act like they will also will be act like a give and take in terms of goodwill and providing increased sales. Yeah.
Here we have two costs, like fixed cost and variable cost. The fixed cost will be the payment to the developer for building the app and maintaining it over time. And the payment of servers, because we are storing data as well, because when they are communicating, we don't know if either of the parties are misbehaving with each other or not. And it is not under the control to stop the recording. So we'll have stored data for the recordings. For that, we'll need servers. So that will be a fixed cost. And the variable cost will be the advertisement cost, incentive to volunteers, depending on the number of volunteers we have and the hours of hard work that they're putting in, and the cost incurred for conducting research and surveys over time for providing better service. Our revenue streams, like from where we'll get our income, first it'll be funds from government grants like Kickstarter, seed funding by corporates, and collaborative ventures with brands, and sponsorships also. Like we have scratch cards. So if we are promoting the goodwill of some company, so they have to provide some incentive to us so that we provide an advertisement for them. Like if we have 300 off, like if a customer, like if a volunteer gets a scratch card of worth 300 rupees, so that volunteer needs to visit that store to avail the service. And coming to income, the beneficiaries will also pay some amount after every 3 months, so that we can continue running the service and provide the best possible solutions to their problems.
To plan out our next step, we gone through key performance indicators like creating awareness through share of voice, or through brands, which will help us to reach out to the people by sharing some valuable content. These are points we consider while designing the app. So first we thought of screen magnifiers, which are used to enlarge elements on screen. Text to speech, which is a tech which will use to convert text or media to a speech, which will help the visual challenged persons, and the customized settings to convert or to alter colors as per the visually challenged person. Like so some are color blind, or some face problems in nights. Yeah, these are some screen we develop depending on the accessibility. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Please go ahead, Professor Madhusudan, your
Okay.
comments, and then we'll go to Rupesh.
Okay, so congratulations to students first. I think we only had one meeting, unfortunately, but I think the problem statement has also changed substantially. So it started with a braille invoicing, and now, but I think this is a wonderful problem, and it was actually needed by most of the people as we interacted. So there is an opportunity to actually take it beyond the course and actually implement, because it doesn't require much of an investment, more of a time and volunteering. So I think you should do that. So instead of saying AI or a human, you can actually give a choice. Okay, there are substantial people who want to be independent, who don't want to be dependent. Then there are people who would like to seek help. So give a choice, maybe AI or a human, whichever they want. And also, there are some people who would like to first try out the AI option. And if it doesn't work, then they would like to take help. So you will have variety of people who would like to use AI or a human help in a multiple proportions in a variety of ways. That would be a good. And similarly for remuneration or volunteering, you can also give an option. There may be some volunteers, some people would like to do it for remuneration. So that's also an option. And also what we have seen is whenever we do products for visually challenged, usually it is also used by other people. For example, low vision. People who are not literate will start asking questions because they can't read, which is there. They have a sight, but they can't actually read a prescription or something. So, and also cited sometimes. So it's also better to make it a little bit more universal. Throw it open to others also. You don't have to do much. And it will also bring more social integration and universal design aspects. So those are my comments. Thanks. I think wonderfully done.
Yeah, thanks, Madhusudan. In fact, I remember one very interesting thing which you mentioned about color. In fact, that suggestion of using AI instead of a human. For example, we feel that they would like to go to a human, but it's completely wrong. You know, if you understand the context in which the blind come from, they want to be independent. They are very confident. In fact, Professor Madhusudan once told me about a very interesting thing about color. We thought that why will they bother about color of a product they're using? But no. They're concerned about how they look with the type of color they have in their hand. So that's a very interesting insight which Professor Madhusudan told me once, that we cannot take anything for granted when we work for these type of communities, and we should take everything. All our things should come from customer discovery and understanding what they feel. Thank you so much, Professor Madhusudan, and we'll now request Rupesh. Rupesh, look at the model. Let us see whether they continue this project till they finish their M.Des at least, or of course later on also in life.
No, certainly. It's a good work, good brainstorming, nicely put up. I have one question, as in maybe the perspective part of it. Team, do you know how many blind people are there in India right now? I'm sure you have done your basics, right? One of you can answer if you know the number.
Less than 2%, sir.
Give me a number. 12 million people.
Do not
12
have
million
any.
people. 12 million people.
12 million.
Okay. So instead of thinking, how do I help blind? Look at it. Are blind people not customers? So if tomorrow Big Bazaar wants to make their sales, you have 12 million people who could have been customers of Big Bazaar. Imagine that, right? 1 million customer added to them, and you are just ensuring that there is a customer service to get groceries. It's a completely different way of looking at business. They are not the people who are helpless. They are customers who have potential power of buying, and you're just enabling them. So
Yes.
complete different way of looking at things. It is not that you're helping them. They are as in they're dependent, and you're looking at, okay, how do I? That is a byproduct. Finally, they have something which is strong, which is they are a customer. They need food, they need clothes, and
Yes,
they
yes.
are a potential buyer. So look at it. So otherwise, Shoppers Stop will never reach to blind people, right?
No.
How do you reach them, right? How do big brands reach to these people? 12 million people are there in the country. There are about 39 million people in worldwide. And this is something, they are a huge customer base, which could have, okay, maybe they are financially dependent, fine. So, but still there is going to be a category of people who can still be accessed. Food is a basic necessity, right? So please
Yes, sir.
look at through perspective. But Professor Rao, I would like to hear your comment if I'm wrong. He is more in the space, so.
No. I think it's very good. So in the sense ki, generally we always look at one use case, and when you actually go and probably interact with more people, you realize that ki, there are many other use cases which are more suitable. That's what Rupesh is actually trying to do. It's very true.
Very true. Very, very nice point, Rupesh. That's really a very interesting perspective of how we see them also not as dependents, but as independent customers, which is a complete paradigm shift for me itself. Like sometimes we think that usko help karenge. My colleagues also in IDC tell me, "Arey, tu kya help karega, yaar? Unse seek pehle. What do they want? What is their life?" And then
Right.
and then you
So
understand.
imagine
No, that is
exactly,
the
if a blind
last.
person wants to do investment, if a
Yeah.
blind person wants to do investment, who helps them? Who tells them that these are the schemes, this is what is available, this is what you go to Zerodha, then log in, this is the stock price. That is not happening. But just because they're not visible, there are so many products which are just not available, and they're not looked at as a customer. They can be investors, not just people who need help, consumers. They can be investors, they can be actually potential customers. So we should create somebody who can target them as.
Yes.
No, I think that perspective is very, very true, in the sense ki two things which most of the people would like to have is differentiating them, which is there. People want to socially integrate and they want to be independent. So these are the two major aspects in any assistive technology which is there. So it's, I think, probably as you go along, you can also keep that in mind and develop your app for further applications.
Professor Ashok, you have to add a few points.
Heard all of you, and it's a wonderful way of helping these people. I have a very basic question. What kind of services these blind people are seeking from the volunteers? Can anybody give me some few examples? Then I will fully understand the concept.
So the pain points that when we spoke to people, visually challenged people, we understood that things like checking for expiry dates in products that they're using, identifying colors while they're shopping, finding an object near them in their house, which they cannot find anymore. Small tasks or big tasks. These are some of the examples. Maybe sometimes navigation also, if they're in a safe environment, away from traffic, maybe navigation, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also like during the monetary transaction at banks, anything like where there are monetary transactions, which they need, they have to be dependent on someone for the trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's good idea, because that was a question mark since I attended for the first time. Once you mentioned that converting text into the speech it can be other way around also. The speech can be converted into the text. These blind people can be easily identifiable on the street because they are having that typical folding walking stick, and you can make out that this fellow is a blind person and he needs help probably. And people also help them in crossing the road, etc. But if it has a mobile and through the application, if you say I want to go to say Big Bazaar or any such place, and he got stuck into between, so maybe he will speak on the phone and then there will be a text. So then maybe people will be, when people get used to it, okay, this is the product and this is a blind person, I should go and at least I read it. So somebody will read it and he will say, okay, go straight, take a right turn or left turn and whatever possible, and he can help nearby people. What you're talking about, those are distant people who are volunteers. But even in that specific area, people can help them. So that is what I feel can be added.
That's an
excellent project.
Yeah, it's a nice feature that we can add in the application.
And students, I think I'm quite, like very happy with the progress, especially from point of view of where you started with and how we went about, how it can be monetized, and mainly the transformation, because today a lot of our blind people have, luckily they have feature phones, so it's a very good support they have in their hand. So with that, I think this shift can really work, and you could get the right funding, like what Professor Mathur is saying. So with that funding, we should continue this work, and we're all there to support you in this endeavor. So students, all the best.
Thank you so much, professors.
Thank you so much.
And thanks
All the best
again. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hello everyone. Our app See Together helps blind and visually challenged people by providing them round-the-clock live assistance in their day-to-day activities. People who want to be less dependent on AI-driven assistance, which is difficult to comprehend and also difficult to access. We increase confidence and provide assistance in all regional languages and taking care of people's privacy at the same time by connecting volunteers, thousands of volunteers across India, to our customers. We reduce over-dependency on AI and cognitive load in respect to their day-to-day activities and provide transparency in their purchase and communication. Unlike competitive apps like Envision AI and Be My Eyes, who do not provide assistance in all regional languages nor do have any provision for recording transactions and communications, we provide a more better human-centric experience. Our team consists of myself, Shubhi Saxena, Mayuri, Nikita, Gautam, and Vijay Kasti, and we've all worked under the guidance of Professor P.V.M. Rao and Professor B.K. Chakravarti, who we are very thankful to. Thank you for listening to our pitch.
So students, like quickly, a quick introduction to Purushottam Kaushik, 24 years of experience in leadership and management consulting roles in India and SAARC countries, proven entrepreneurial strength through multiple challenging assignments, sales, P&L, leadership and organization transformation initiatives, industry expert, board advisor, and multiple things. So there we have my brother also, Mr. Chandrasekhar, Deputy Director General, just retired from the Department of Telecom, BSNL, and he has been instrumental in bringing new technologies and working in the government sector under all those rules and bringing in new technology, bringing in a change is a real fabulous phantom task. So Chandrasekhar would actually bring in a lot of interesting entrepreneurs across the country, partners to help in taking things forward. Let me introduce you to Purushottam also, who's here, and my fabulous students. So students, let us start with your group.
We would like to start our presentation with the fact that around 65% of people in offices undergo stress on a regular basis. We here in SPACE think about the ways to make life for office employees stress-free and make them happy and satisfied while working. Our team name is SPACE and the tagline is "You before work," as in we keep the employees and their well-being before their work. The team includes Anshul, Tito, Vibhuti, and Pooja, that's me. And we would like to thank Professor Chakravarti, Professor Kaustubh, and Professor Prasad for their support and guidance throughout the journey.
our common vision is basically to elevate the level of happiness and well-being of employees in the workspace. Also, our common mission was to create a stress-free office. So the problem statement that we came up with is stress among people in office due to long working hours. To further elaborate and to give a context to our problem as to what we're dealing with is stress. Why is it important to sort of solve the problem? It is due to lack of concentration, inefficiency in work, and who are we targeting? The employees, where in the offices, when the working hours, and some root causes like long working hours, no change of space, and also less break time. Our potential customer that we first came up with was offices that that caters to young generation as the customers, offices that wants to attract employees, and also offices like very developing offices like F1 studios, TikTok, TCS, etc. As to why would they want to is like obviously the well-being of their employees, the health and well-being of the employees, and also as an attractive office to attract new employees. So one of the first solutions that we came up with was to use VR as a technology as a tool for stress release. So we did some user testing and found very good very good feedbacks.
So we thought of evaluating our problem and solution with potential users and customers by taking their interviews. These were office employees and HRs. Our questions were focused on knowing their work culture and how they kept themselves refreshed and focused while working for long hours. Like one user prefers to socialize rather than using the nap rooms and thinks that nap rooms would be perfect for people who have jobs in odd hours. Another user adds on that nap rooms can also be used by people who are sick or for meetings with overseas clients. Employees want to have a better work-life balance, and so they use all kinds of benefits and facilities which the company is providing to them. In one of the offices, the employees started spending time more in the office because of the new recreational building which was created. But contradicting to this, another employee preferred going out of the office for socialization as much as possible. Some employees prefer taking a nap on their desk, walk with their friends, playing or watching cricket, or simply relaxing in their breakout rooms. Sometimes people just went to the washrooms to get away from all the fuss. Some of the common insights we got made us realize that majority employees prefers the eating area and playing games for socialization, which is always a priority. Another insight was that employees could approach their managers initially, followed by HR, depending from company to company. HRs could also take feedback from employees and could take up the changes with the branch head who took the final call. The admin is involved in the loop who would take care of the employee welfare funds and could help in the decision-making process. With this, we created the Lean Canvas.
Considering all the above aspects, we started laying down the Lean Canvas model, and we realized that with the current model, our revenue stream is really narrow, and thus we would get exhausted from the market easily. Moreover, it's not scalable too. Till now, the solution we were going for was product-based, and the companies that would be buying the product might never return to us for their future purchases. Hence, we pivoted from a product-based approach to a service-based approach to the solution and redefine the problem statement as to how might we help offices to make their employees work life better and stress-free. So now the potential target customers will be office HRs, admin, and branch head. For this customer segment, we started working on the Lean Canvas model again.
So when we laid down our Lean Canvas again, it is converted from a product-based to a service-based solution. Suddenly, there are many people which gets add on to the platform. Example, there are service providers for like consultants or at least some therapy sessions or some people who does therapy. So they become like a part of the service in the same platform where we have our customers as the office which is already there. The most important value proposition here we got was as it is a platform, the revenue generation that we are thinking is more of a subscription or a package based. So in that case, insight that we got from HR where they have like a yearly package for an employee. So we can straight up target to that particular funds, and we can approach them as a complete service for whatever activity or whatever activities that they want to conduct for their employees. Initially, that what we were thinking of just considering the customer as a mid developed or a developed company, because it's a product and it could be expensive. So in here, it gives us an opportunity to even include all the mid-range, mid-developed companies, and also the companies which doesn't have that much of fund to create or to add the products in their office, or even the space in the office. As it is just a subscription model and a package solution, they can go they can go and get all the facilities which are included for a subscription based. And it also helps the HRs and the admin people to reduce the paperwork which they need for vendor registration during the time when they undergo different activities. So to give a glimpse of a market, in global mental health market, it actually evaluates to 383.31 million in 2022, and it is still growing. We have our we have our very close competitors, which are SciS and Oxford VR. So these are individual companies which only which are in the domain of mental health care, and they only deal with a solution based on a virtual reality, or a solution a therapy session based on a virtual reality. The limitation to these and where we get an upper hand is when if these are a clinical solution, like only a people who wants a therapy can undergo to their platforms and go, but they haven't yet entered into the corporate market where a HR is considering it as a solution for all the employees. So our business thesis is our service help offices who wants to improve employee well-being to necessary productivity and efficiency and reduce the stress related to work. This is something which has came into a research that if an employee is mental health of an employee is better and he's stress-free, that leads to better productivity and efficiency. They tend to make less amount of mistakes. To divide this entire idea, as it is a service platform, we went to a Potter's model and bifurcated them to understand everything separately. So we have our customers, we have our suppliers, which deals with our basic supply that we'll need to make the platform. That is our a fixed funds, a fixed cost that we'll need. That is servers. We will need a designer and developer. Our customer. And we'll need signups, also a content moderator who can verify and give and push the content which needs to be there for those kind of employees. There are other complementary activities which goes on, which people are not, they haven't yet came to a online platform till now. That's like music therapy, counselors, meditation instructors. And so these activities are such which are always catered separately, but haven't packed as one package to the HRs or to the employees. The way we look at our product is it's like when we take a Wi-Fi, any Wi-Fi service from example Airtel. So it's like we take Airtel gives you a dongle free of cost, and they charge you with the fitting charges, and then they let you subscribe to the yearly model of their own service. So this is exactly the model that we are trying to give to the HRs, where we say we give you the equipments and the product that you want from our side, but in return we need to have a contract based subscription model and or a packaged model which you will follow, and the employees will be getting over the time. So initially, for a startup, just to focus our thoughts, we just started with one solution, which is the VR based solution for mental health. That's where we'll start approaching the companies, and through the same platform later on we can push sports activities, VR or video games, as the customers have been continuously saying they like social gatherings and they like to interact. And later on that can go to a counseling service, and then later on expand to a more tangible and a bigger platform, which becomes like a B2B service. So this is what our space deals with. And yeah, so thank you from our side.
looks like a very good idea. So we will, request Purushottam.
So if someone can maybe possibly highlight like which were the top, as per your initial understanding, which were the top 3 stress reasons for like office employees or the kind of people that you're trying to address, your target customers. Did anyone do a bit of analysis like what are the top 3 stress factors?
So for that, we mostly found out that there are different shifts of working, especially in BPOs or in some companies where they have like overseas client or overseas people which they want to coordinate with. So usually this is what happens ki they have to stay back for some meetings, and that is the time. So like the night time is the time when they get a lot of stressed because of overall they have been working, and in the daytime they have been doing their own lifestyle, and at the night when they want to work overnight, that is the time in between they need like 15-20 minutes of refresh. That's where we came up with this idea. Initially, when we thought of a product, we actually were thinking to connect it with the nap pods or quiet rooms which companies have right now. So the initial experiment which we did for VR, that was like a alternate to the nap room. So nap room initially had a problem ki we have only 4 nap pods or quiet room and or beds to rest, and people usually take 1 hour of time to get refreshed and come back. So that is where we were working, and we did that experiment to decrease that time from 10 that 1 hour to 15 to 20 minutes through the VR, and we got the same results. Which even in the interview also, when we asked few people if you have ever used the nap pod and what did you felt after that, so they also gave us the same output and the same results that we got from our experiment. This is where we initially were thinking our product as a alternate to the nap pod. But then we realized because the nap pods are expensive, and if a company takes a furniture.
Anshul, you answered the first point where you said, okay, when they work long hours, they get stressed. So Purushottam had very direct question. Where are the other stress happening in the pack? There's one way of getting stressed. What are the other? Is it that when you have large meetings and you come out, you're stressed?
Yes.
Where are the other point? What are your other stress? 1, 2, 3. In your what from your survey, from your interviews from people.
Okay.
Root causes. It was long working hours, people not having a change of space and sitting in the same space for like a really long time. Then it was like less break time and less time for more work, which is why the employees usually faced so much stress.
And did you really look at the technology solution first, or you thought about like whether or like you were fixated on the solution before you went for it, or you kind of really did a research that this particular problem, these 3 problems that you are saying, long working hours, people staying on one particular desk, or possibly stress because of the time pressure to complete the work, did you really were fixated with that this is the product that we have to somehow fix it, or you were looking at maybe alternative options of why only those 3 products? You could have said maybe I can ask Chaco to bring the dog and just like let the dog be going in the office, and it's such a stress buster. I don't know whether you have really seen that a live like a person, a pet is like such a comfort, right? Or why not like pushing people for at least going for a social thing, or maybe doing something which is more real than actually pushing them into a more electronic device, which is anyway stress. It's another stress actually.
Sir, initially we had done some work based on this VR setup. So we did kind of an experiment with our peers, and we realized that VR could be used for relaxation. So that is how we started this. But then we went on to do the customer discovery, and we realized that might not be, initially it might not be a very practical solution, because users said that they prefer socialization over spending time alone over the electronic devices, since a lot of time is taken by the screen-based devices. So that is why we came up from a product-based to a customer-based solution, and decided to create a platform where all of these things could be combined into one area. So our VR could be like one of the aspects of it, but not just the only aspect of it.
And that's why we decided to change the direction.
Yeah.
So finally, who pays for it? Is it like the corporate organization, or is it the employee himself, or is it maybe some other business model finally which will sustain it?
So in every office, they have this employee welfare fund. So we were thinking that this kind of subscription could be extracted from that fund with the whoever makes the decision for the company, like the HRs and the admin, and along with the manager and the branches.
There's
I
kind
think-
of budgets
yeah.
that allocated for these kind of activities in most of the companies, and the employees are given the forms or some sort where they can fill what they want, so they can choose their things.
So my suggestion to you will be that when you're looking at a budget of like social welfare, or maybe basically the employee HR team has to decide on a whatever annual basis, then you're competing with 10 different options which a HR person may have.
Yeah.
So it may have like nap rooms, they may have sports facilities, they may put up a tennis table on the side, they may decide to take people for a walk, or they may decide to kind of put up an additional cafeteria. So practically your competition is not those two additional solutions of VR. The solutions may be another 10 categories of solutions which a HR person may have an option to maybe reduce the stress. So that's where, and then the other thing is that when you're competing against this such a budget, you can always figure out that it also depends on so much of an employee feedback. What do they really like? It's do they really like short working hours? Like for example, like many of the Nordic countries are now going for a 4-day week instead of a 5-day week. Now they're going to 4-day week. Or is it like saying that working from home is a much better option, so you don't need to come to office and you can take calls from wherever? It is also proven now. So it's all kind of options are now emerging, because the employee will have to give a feedback of what is it that is really helping their stress. So that's where I'm saying that whatever the budget is, then you're competing with 10 different solutions, and then the employee feedback which is going to come back to you.
And how is your solution, giving that extra edge, that extra edge has to come, Purushottam, that what is the extra edge you're offering? What is the unique selling proposition offering over all the others? And especially after your customer discovery, where they said that, we don't want to have another, display on our eyes, but, we want to do something else. So but very interesting, Purushottam, how we started this course. First day was, tumhara strengths nikalo, are VR ka banda hai, chalo VR se start karte hain. So it's very nice that we are changing our, while we went ahead, and then we said teams banao, to pehle team banaya bachon ne. So while we are going the process, we are also learning, and thanks you caught us at the right place where you said VR pehle kyun choose kiya, which was just fabulous. Yeah. What is the creative solution after you found out that this is not the only thing?
Sir, so when we took a HR interview, they said ki every year we come up with something to add in the recreational space. So for example, if they want to add a TT room or a TT table, they will go through a form, a Google form, where employee will fill what they want more in the recreational space, and that's what they'll buy that year. There's something which only was catering to some developed or a developed company which has this interview was from TikTok, when TikTok was in India. We did a HR interview from them, and she told us this thing. And also there was another interview which is Perkins Eastman. It's a corporate company for architectures and everything. So they also did the same thing. So they can't have many things, but they can have one thing. So you decide which one to take that year. So this is where we came ki why to make a product for a service where you can have a platform and you can lend them all of these things and give a service. So they don't need to buy TT table or this. They just need to tell us ki what you want, and we give them that. And for that, they just pay us a subscription model. So in this, if they want to replace a TT table tomorrow with a carom, they can do that.
Oh, I see. Oh, now we are getting it more clear. No, Purushottam, now we. But anyway.
It's like a one spot solution for all the recreational activities.
Because this is the contradiction that we realize ki some people want Snapbot, like a developer in we went to TCS and Philips, and they said ki developers and even TikTok, the content creator, they are very focused. They had to be focused, otherwise they'll shoot wrong ad in a wrong place. So they need to have a focus time. That is why they use Snapbot and Quiet Room, but they doesn't use the TT table and the other relaxation area, recreational areas like that. So they had a demand ki we need more of a napbot, and there is other side, there's a demand of we need more TT tables to have a social gathering. So in this, the HR is in a difficult state where he has to decide what to take which year. So instead of making him decide, you just give them both the service and say them, ki you pay us with the package so that we can provide you with all of the service. So this is one. And secondly, when so even when I was working with a few companies for like providing them a set solution for or a set design for some kind of a activity or some show that they want. So they usually go through a vendor registration. So even if they had a tour or they want any event, that event company, if they want to have a 10 people travel to X place, that person has to go through a vendor registration. They need to get a proper hard bill, which will process, and then they'll get back the funds. This just creates more paperwork because there are 4 people involved in just to do one job, which is taking the employee to X place for a tour and then get them back. So restaurants will be involved, the travels will be involved. Whereas if they just hire some event management company that will do the job which they want to do, but then they get an extra cost. The event management company will get an extra cost. The gift, if they want some gift for the sales team, then the gifting will have some extra cost. So it is always, as soon as HR adds things to their recreational activity, there is always an extra cost which has been coming just because there are different companies been attached. That's where we want to come into picture. If it is one platform where we give them all the things that they want in one solution,
one place
as a package, they can straight away go with that one option with a good funding. They'll save with the amount and they'll save with the paperwork.
Basically, do you study the stress factors in a particular organization? What are the stress factors? And even in the same organization, different departments will have different types of work and stress.
Yes.
So basically, do you do that study?
So that's what we got an insight, sir. If when we talk to a developer, they said we need nap pods because they want to relax and get refreshed. When we talk to a marketing person, they said we don't need anything because we are always going out. Yeah. When we talk to a HR or a director who is always inside, he said I need some recreational space or a coffee area. But in that, if you throw a Excel or if you throw a Google form, it will all come down to a majority of what the employee wants. So if there are more developers, obviously what developers want, that is going to happen. This is where the contradiction we thought it will start.
Yeah.
That's where we wanted that if it is one platform, we give them nap room and TT table. They don't need to pay for any of those as a product. They just need to pay us as a service. So that could be solved.
They can fulfill the needs of all the different kinds of employees and departments in just one platform, on the one place.
Because most of the programmers or coders
will
have that physical stress of sitting at a place, watching the screens, and constantly typing or doing whatever. That stress is too much, and they start getting a lot of physical ailments also, neck pain, wrist pain, shoulder pain, like that. So basically, they need a break in between, actually.
Yeah.
But the point is, you're like, you identified the customer segment well, you identified the people well, but the whole, how are you tying up together? You're just saying we provide a complete holistic service, but does it make business sense? Morning में याद है हम बोले धंधा कर पाओगे क्या? क्यों आपको देंगे? वो हमें because the Purushottam sits on most of the committees and he's the one who makes financial decisions. Will he buy your service? What is that unique, differentiation? You're giving them a lot of options for sure. Giving it more flexibility. In that more flexibility, why am I saving money? Am I giving better service? So which is this unique selling proposition? Is it that my employees will be more happy because I've got, for example, I may just want to watch a quick Netflix, 10-minute clipping, for example. So are you giving a corporate service like that? I don't know. I'm just, like talking aloud, but it's food for thought. Maybe I'll just, ask Purushottam to take this final, final, if he has something else to say, and we'll have to go to the next team. Yeah, Purushottam, like what is the major, issue with, what they are talking about?
No, I don't see there is any issue as such. The only thing is possibly when you do this pilot, or maybe when you go as a next step, say identifying maybe say 10 organizations where you think the solution could be piloted, and then you collect a real evidence-based learnings and revalidate what you have assumed that this will work, and it may not actually work. You may realize that number one, that were you too fixated about the solution first before you realize the needs on the ground. So you have to just figure out like all the potential solutions which could have solved the same need, because you're trying to address a need. You're not trying to compete with some pre-clustered solution that this was a cluster of solution that I am fighting VR solutions. Instead, you are fighting a bigger need. That was one thing which you had to validate in the right environment. Second thing is the cost factors, right? So possibly whatever the budget is, like if this is a mid-sized organization which possibly has a budget X, and there is a large organization which possibly have large number of employees and you have a budget Y, then where do you really fit in terms of your cost and pricing, and how will you try to address? And third is that also in terms of really the impact measurement and feedback, you finally, these budget and competition is fine, but if your solution itself doesn't hit the right places in terms of acceptability and in terms of impact, then nothing works, because it will fall from the castle will fall down, right? So you have to just see this whole pocket, and maybe I'll explain you the process that we try to kind of talk about, especially in our kind of a system when I'm talking about forum, is that first of all, look at, if you're looking at a solution, the one part of it is the technology feasibility, whether the solution itself technologically it will work, that the feasibility of technology is there. Then you look at that as in within your own organization, the solution that you're building up, is it commercially and financially viable? Then you look at who's going to pay for it, and who is your buyer, who is the organization who's going to be successful. Will it really make any business sense for them to take your solution or buy your solution? And even if you cross that even it makes sense to say, for example, company A to buy your solution, the bigger need is that as a systemic need or a solution, does it even fit into their overall larger requirements, which would be meaning here we are talking about, say, employees or social need of your mental stress and whatever. Is it really addressing that particular issue, or you are creating another big, like for example, you say TikTok, like is it really stress buster, or Netflix, is it a stress buster or stress causer? We don't know, right? Whether a smartphone is a stress buster or a stress causer. So are you really solving the larger need, or you are creating a bigger issue for maybe a problem statement which possibly was not the rounds? So just look at this chain for any solution. I'm not just talking about your solution, but this is the way that you have to kind of analyze.
Thanks, Purushottam. That's wonderful. Thanks, Chandrasekhar. That is nice, points for us to look at. And of course, this is just a starting point. We just say the germination of the entrepreneurship activity, and where when you do your actual testing, most of the companies who start with one idea would actually end up, success in another one, including Ola and most of the famous guys. They started with something. Ola, what they were trying to sell books. They were trying to rent books. They started with books, and they, where they are now, and now they're entering electric vehicles. So it's like that. So we will, we will, of course, we must not leave the journey. That's very important. Go across the journey. So thank you so much, students.
Do you feel stressed while working in office, especially during long working hours or due to odd work timings? Statistics says around 65% of people in office undergo stress on a regular basis. So let me introduce you to Spaced. We are a team of 4 people and 3 great mentors who has helped us out for this project. We here in Spaced think about the ways to make life for office employees stress-free and keep them happy and satisfied while working. But why is this necessary? Do we even need this? Spaced can help offices to increase efficiency of their work by getting better productivity and reduce the chances of error by their employees. Unlike just buying something for few employees, organizing events, managing paperwork for those event vendors separately, we provide a one-stop solution by giving subscription model for company employees considering their needs, which is also convenient and efficient for all the office admin ranging from startups to corporates.
Thank you so much, students. So we'll go to the next group. So all the best, students. Let us see what you have. And they also come up with some very interesting, very challenging problems to look at. So go ahead, students.
Hi, we are Team Hocus Pocus. we are a team of 5 girls, say girl power. And it's me, Sadhika. There is Maithili, there is Chaitrali, Aishwarya, and Twinkle. I would like to express our heartfelt thanks to Professor Chakravarti and Professor Bobin Varghese, who have really taken out time from their busy schedules and help us guide and mentor us through this process of creating a product and getting to the end of it. Even though it's just the germination point, we really see this going somewhere. So since all of you have really paid attention and been with every group so far, we ask for a little more attention and participation from your end. We want you to answer 2 questions. Question 1 is, how many of you at some point of time have tried meditation? Okay, the numbers are increasing, which is good to know. All right. So I would say, I think approximately 20-25% or maybe more of the class. Now the next question is, how many of you still meditate? So that is hypothesis 1. And that brings us to our problem statement, which is mindfulness is a great practice. Everyone suggests that we live in the present, we live from moment to moment. Do not fixate on the past or the future. Ke sara, ke sara. So if it's such a great practice, why are we not doing it? That brings us to our customer discovery. We conducted a set of interviews with students, practitioners, and these are some of the things that we understood.
Most of the people do not meditate because either they do not have enough time because of major activities like working in office, traveling, etc. Or they find doing other physical activities like household works more easy and satisfying, which also provides them with a sense of achievement. There are different kinds of Vipassana for all age groups, though it has shown physical symptoms in some cases such as fever, cold, and headache. But if we practice the forms of meditation daily, it can help in distracting ourselves from overthinking. The most common form of developing mindfulness is by focusing on breathing. This reduces anxiety, OCD, and other forms of hypertension. While 10 to 15 minutes is a very little time to ask for, but people at times simply do not find the motivation to spend this much of time even for their mental health.
So through our interviews, we landed on a few more insights. First of all, the key of meditation is to calm your mind, which is nearly impossible for people who are amateurs or who just started practicing. Second thing is, many times trainers advise you to concentrate on external stimulus like wind or noise or some particular noise. And the unsuccessful students carries around this stigma that they did not try enough at the first time, or they are not focused enough or lazy, not to continue meditation. And the fourth point is, though some practitioners and coaches do use external assistive tools like scented candles or focus lights, most meditation coaches prefers not to use assistive tools.
Yeah, so after all this, our problem statement trickled down to how might we develop assistive tools to facilitate stress reduction through mindfulness. And based on all the insights that everybody talked about from customer interviews and discussions with meditation professionals, we have come up with these visual, physical, and sensory features that we would like to have in our product, and we categorize them based on their necessity in the final product. So you can see it is divided into bread, icing, and cherry. The features listed in the bread portion are the critical ones that are necessary for the product to be successful. And the features listed under icing are not crucial, but they do provide some sort of value addition to the product. Whereas the features listed under cherry are complementary or extra features that the product could have. So after a lot of prioritization and ideation, we have come up with Focus, which is a headgear that shuts away your visual sensations to create a tactile vibratory patterns on certain points around your eyes that one could focus on during meditation. And these are some of our initial ideations, where we also thought of including audio sensory experience along with the tactile vibrations to provide a more immersive meditation experience. But after some research and discussion, we realized that it would be better if we let our users choose or use their own audio systems, so the experience does not become too expensive or monotonous after a while. And this is just a skeleton and some details of the product that we have conceptualized. So the vibrating points that we have marked on the headgear are essentially small coin vibrators that would be connected along with a motor and a battery to the power circuit. And the various vibration patterns or speeds could be programmed in the device using a microchip.
So these are the material exploded view. If you see, there are 3 layers. The outer layer would be the air mesh fabric, which is actually made of spandex, more of spandex and less of silk. And the layer which is after the air mesh is the black bamboo charcoal fiber. As we all know, charcoal is a very good conductive medium. So basically we have used charcoal because inside this entire layer would be the vibration motors. So the fiber can easily conduct the vibration to the skin. So, and the inner layer, which is towards the inward side of the mask, would be the silk spandex blend. Because silk we have chosen because silk is a very comfortable fabric and it is also sensitive to skin. And silk does not really interfere with pest products or maybe moisture. So it can help the person, help the user to retain their, retain their body temperature also and be comfortable wearing the mask.
So now that we have introduced our product to you, let's talk about how we plan to sell it. So we basically have 3 broad customer segments. First one being workspace service providers and HR executives, and who are seeking solutions to improve working conditions of their employees, much like the team before us. The second category is people who try to meditate but discontinued. And then third is amateur meditation students. So they might be using meditation apps or just watch videos or attend some sessions. So we made a lean canvas models for each of these segments. So I'll quickly go through the first one, which is for HR departments. So the main problem here was constant cognitive load and on the users, which would be the employees, harmful amount of screen time. Our solution was, okay, so you're tired of looking at screens all day, so let's close your eyes for some time. And then, so here our product, Focus, effectuates mindfulness in a very simple way, and it can be used for however long you want, starting from 5 to 7 minutes up till 20 to 30 minutes. So you're closing your eyes and focusing on targeted vibrations across your face, which we hope engages the users in a way that takes off their mind from, because they are feeling the vibrations right on their face. So it'll be hard to pay attention elsewhere. And also for the customers, which are these service providers for employees, they are looking for ways to show their employees that we care about your well-being. So this is a simple product which can be introduced in recreational spaces or relaxation, even like cafes. So just some units are placed in certain places, or even when people are working from home, companies like to send care packages. So this could be just an addition to those kind of things. And then we hope to have some free trials and then get feedback and make reiterations accordingly. So again, our channels would be some offices have onboard meditation or mindfulness trainers, and even space the when they're like set up, we could collaborate with them, and we're hoping to put up posters, and so yeah, there'll be those printing costs, and even conducting workshops and surveys. I'll quickly go through this. So here the problem is that they find it hard to sit still with their own thoughts for whatever long. They itch to pick up their phone, or they feel some bodily pain as soon as they are told. Because to people, traditional meditation is close your eyes and focus on your breath. So, and some people also find this idea intimidating. So our solution here is to develop mindfulness by directing their focus and engaging multiple senses. Here, the tactile sense, and here the external stimuli do not matter much because we are already providing targeted stimuli, and there could also be levels to it, starting from beginner to advanced, and maybe we could approach social media influencers and channels, and even coaches and trainers for collaborations during this. So lastly, these are the people who are trying to learn more about meditation. So here the problem is that even sometimes with guided instructions, they find it difficult to focus, and but then for that our solution is we are not instructing you to do something. We are making you feel it. So and then even we can approach them through, like, they already go to trainers or frequent certain places, so we could put up advertisements there.
So this is a business canvas model. The key activities in this project were designing the product, developing a mindful program with meditation coaches, integrating technology with our product, and testing out our product at different levels, and taking feedbacks from the users. And to channel all these activities, we are thinking of having an alternate fitness classes to pilot this product, so that people can use this product for free, and they can be a part of this fitness class, or maybe organize certain events to focus our product, hocus pocus. The all over cost of our product was including manufacturing cost, a little bit of a margin, and the lump sum was 680, which is comparatively very cheap as compared to what all other products, mindfulness related products available in the market.
Well, concluding with our presentation and our product pitch, we wanted to share some future prospects and scope and vision that we have for Hocus Focus. One is releasing a range of products which will be based on the same principle of providing tactile sensations, as well as adding other sensations to the newer products that will come forward. Another idea that we thought of was some sort of Zen cafes that would allow people, similar-minded people who are either interested in meditation or have not been able to practice meditation with the traditional techniques and want to just explore more. So we are looking at a more experimental crowd in this sense. And the last application that we want to explore is clinical applications. Currently, the model that we have proposed is based for people who are not clinically diagnosed with OCD or anxiety disorders, but just people who are facing daily hassles in life and need to practice meditation or mindfulness. So one segment that we would really like to explore, say, for example, is young adults with ADHD or people with mild to moderate anxiety disorders. We are trying to keep away from severe anxiety disorders because that is a more specific and tricky market to get into.
Very good, students. This looks like a very exciting project. In fact, I need this product very badly, though, because I love. I in fact have a lot of respect for meditation, but I don't get to doing it. So if I can get get something to use, I'm sure it will be very helpful. Purushottam and Chandrasekhar, please go ahead. Purushottam, you can start.
Yeah, maybe another 2-3 minutes. I'll just go very fast. An amazing presentation and great product, very impressive. One is that 2 or 3 things which I will tell you. See, if you want to, and I was impressed when you said that we'll launch a range of the products. So please ensure that the brand that you build around it should be a longer term vision, that what all can be rolled in a future. Because today you may be thinking about this product, but tomorrow you could be having a associated services products, etc. also. So second thing, I don't know about Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus as a name, you possibly, I don't know how much of research and focus you would have done, but then it creates a bit of a hep and bit of a like kind of a mix of things. So when you're talking of meditation, does it like, do you need to give you a feeling of calmness, or you should think of maybe a word which is pretty much a bit like, I would say that slightly it kind of
it's more
challenges
active.
me. Yeah, it challenges me, but then you should think about whether it's really hitting the right dot. Third is that when you're hitting my suggestion would be that there will be very various products. If you just focus on the cost and 340 and 680 and this thing, possibly you will lose, you might lose an upside. Maybe you may try to address it like a premium versus a basic. But then also think about like, because people who want to buy products to touch their skin and touch their inside core, they are happy to pay more. Like, why would you pay Apple maybe 1,25,000, 1,35,000 for a product which is just a phone, right? Finally, what is it that you're getting? Nobody asked you that how much does it cost and why are you paying 1,25,000 for it, right? So just think about it that it's not, it should be a premium class where you like the quality of silk, the quality of feel of the good and the feel of the thing. Don't get bogged down by that, okay, cost, because then that will eat away your margin or your premium potential on that side. And fourth thing is that never go cheap on electronics, because finally if something goes wrong and they say, oh, warranty, then you are dead, because the return cost of a product and servicing cost of a product in a distributed B2C model is a killer. So then the brand name will just get killed. It's like somebody will say shit and somebody will write a reference and then people will write a reference and then they will kill the product. So never, when you are investing in electronics, you have to figure out the very sustainable model of financials and social and acceptability and all those kind of things. Don't get into like, if any product of your vibration suddenly starts hitting a wrong thing, there is no option and just throw it out, right? And then throwing out is like is a bad thing. So, and then other thing is that there is also a big audience of people who travel, like maybe bigger cities, most of the people are like from every day 2 hours in traveling from A to B, people traveling in flights. So all this logics that we use normally, that I don't get time to meditate, is all just an excuse. So everybody has time. It's just a question of where do you catch him on that time. So that's where you have to just figure out maybe your marketing part is more. The product design for sure, it is very important, which needs to be thought about. I will rush out, but I have all the best. This is really impressive.
Students, we should have kept a tab of the times, but still, Purushottam, you hit on the nail and gave us your key insights here. And thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All the best. Thank you.
So, Chandrasekhar, we will like to take your feedback now. The students, see, you lost some great opportunity of catching Purushottam for more time. See, he's coming from the World Economic Council, and then you can value every minute. His feedback would be great, but he did a great job. But we should have, made our presentation more concise, so we could have got more time. But anyway, we have not lost much. We have Chandrasekhar with us.
Yeah, this product appears to be a very great product, but somehow I've not come across it so far. Maybe you need to step up the sales and all. Maybe you have to make it available at the airports. People have a lot of time when they are waiting for the flight and all. They will go around and then they will use. I mean, even in the flight they can use it. When they are traveling for 1 hour or so, they can 1 hour, 2 hours. They can use it, and it looks good. When product looks good, the way you have designed it and all. Good. Keep it up.
Yeah. I have one doubt about the product. is it got multiple, I'm always looking for such product, but I never found. Do you have any competition?
There are some products similar to this. I mean, not similar.
There is a massager sort of a, that
but
looks
not,
like.
but not a meditative product.
No, it's not. It's just for massaging, and it has a sound system inside.
It looks like a great opportunity. There's no doubt about it. But I think we need to take it forward. We need to build the products, and I think we got valuable suggestions, on how we could take this forward. Because all aids which can result in mindfulness and better health, and now you're talking about health, Aishwarya. You moved from mindfulness to acupressure and digestive system and all. So we have a huge activity which can help. And of course, so when you wear, and of course you also talked about multiple products. You can have a headgear which is which is also healthy, where you have caps which only protect you from sun. But if you have a cap which is why only a specs? It could be a complete mask. I don't know, I'm just like thinking aloud. So there's a lot of creative study there. You remember my course on creativity and synectics and like whatever analogies which are fantasy, right? You can go into the new world by completely covering yourself up. So anyway, that is very nice and very good presentation. And so I think it's like pretty late, and Professor Bobbin had a meeting, so he could not join us. Otherwise, he would have been here. And students, I think, I'm very glad that Chandrasekhar could join us in the last moment today to give us feedback. And and we should. The biggest challenge for our course was that how do we get to understand most of the issues which we don't generally consider when we design. So I think those, I'm very happy with that output of our course, where we could now we talking business also. सुबह पता है ना, वो अनु बोल रही थी धंधा करना है फाइनली. धंधा के लिए कभी-कभी हम ethics भी भूल जाते हैं, वो नहीं होना चाहिए ना, sustainability भी भूल जाते हैं ना. The health, for example, if if something is good for you, then you can't do that, of course. But her point was that when you have to be in business, you have to be core in business, because you have to survive to do whatever good things you're doing in the market. So from that point, it's very good. So great students, have a great time.
Hi, this is Team Hocus Pocus. Our Hocus Pocus headgear with micro vibrations to create targeted tactile sensations helps interested or unsuccessful students of meditation and corporate representatives seeking productivity solutions for their employees who want to focus better during meditation to reduce stress or cognitive load in their daily routine, unlike other assistive meditation tools. Thank you.
Hi, Dinesh.
Hi.
We, have Professor Dinesh as our visiting faculty at IIT Bombay. He's also director of Curzon Studio, and he's also a consultant at our Design Innovation Center. We, sounding board for us on a lot of our activities, including the Open Design School. And of course, he's worked in VIP industries for a number of years, and at various capacities. And thanks, Dinesh, for joining us today. And then and Professor Nakul is one of our young professors, joined at IIT Hyderabad. At the Department of Entrepreneurship and Management. Okay, welcome Nakul and welcome Dinesh. Oh, and there we have our our colleague Deepak John Matthew. Thanks Deepak for joining.
Yeah. How are you? Very good. Thanks for joining us. Yeah.
And Deepak is a great motivator. He told me, Chakku, jara toys ka project bhi karte hain. So luckily our students, a lot of students have taken toys as entrepreneurship, and they also take things forward. And we will now start. Students, please take only 10 minutes so that we have a lot of time for Dinesh and Professor Nakul to give you feedback.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all are keeping well. My name is Mahima, and I'm here with my team, Lakhi, Nirja, and Ray. We all are from different domains, and we are here to present you our idea and an opportunity to make a difference today. We would like to thank Professor Dinesh Korjan for mentoring us and helping us with the ideations and brainstorming. We want to thank Professor Chakravarti. Thank you so much for introducing us for this amazing course. It was a great journey. Um, According to Andre law, independent learning is like seizing an opportunity for a child. They can that leads them to think, plan, and execute different, creative solutions. It is their own idea. We Mavericks bring you an organization that helps in development of children. How do we do that? By bringing independent learning with fun. Why do we need to do it? Learning is just a process, right? But it can be overwhelming for children sometimes. So children, learning is about child trying to work out the answer rather than being told what is the answer. And it helps them with the development of creativity and intellectual curiosity. We work on three main values, that is accountability, fun, and constant improvement. Our vision is that we want to reach out to a lot of schools and preschools and provide them with our services and products so that they can introduce these to children from various age groups. Why? So that we can develop and have them that independent choice. We look at this as an opportunity to train young minds and young generation to have their own voice so that they can make their own decisions. Principles of Magda. So she is a philosopher who made a statement which mentions that parents should respect their children and trust that they are natural inventors, explorers, and self-learners. And there are three main advantages of independent learning. That is, they improve academic performances, increase motivation and confidence, and ability to manage themselves. And these have been proved by a lot of countries. They have done their studies. We need to bring this in India. Neja?
Yeah. So moving on to our customers, our potential customers and target customers are children. But again, we are focusing on 4 years to 12 years children. They have smaller groups, subgroups like 4 to 6 or 7 to 9, up to 12, etc. But still the children being financially dependent upon their parents, children are our users and parents are our buyers. But nowadays, parents want their kids to be engaged so they can continue their work. But again, not all parents are aware about such games. So in order to reach to them, we targeted to schools, pediatricians, and psychologists. As many preschools and daycare firms have dedicated activity period where they can introduce our game and create interest for the same among children. So preschool and daycare firms have dedicated activity period. So there they can explain our game and introduce to it children and create interest for the same. So if children like it, they can like ask their parents to buy for them. And again, our parents really listen to pediatrician and psychologists as they are professionals, and they what all they want is the betterment of their children. So why now? Because at this early stage, whatever children learn stays with them forever. And it's more important to enhance their independent learning. And if we are providing them a game for the same, they can explore more and enjoy being more and more creative. And now during the pandemic, with all the limitations and due to staying at home, kids have become more and more dependent on their parents about almost everything. And they have become a little inactive. So it is much more important to let them engage and enjoy their independent, unlimited learning. So we are introducing Maverick to unleash creativity and independent learning among children. These are some mock-up elements of the game. So we are providing all these basic elements. We'll explain it later what role each element plays. The basic concept behind Maverick is it helps kids understand the different colors, shapes, sizes, and patterns just by playing it. And it helps them enhancing their observation and cognitive skills. And it is also encouraging them to develop their decision-making capabilities. So now
a video will show that Web is explaining how to play the game.
In the box, you will have basic three things: instruction manual and shape charts, clay, and finally the small box in which we have three different stamps: line, wave stamp, and patterns, different patterns. Okay. Similarly, we have 5 dice. This one will show the size, which size we have to select, the pattern, number dice, color dice, and shape dice. So the player initially need to roll all the dice. So now over here, if you see, it's a red color over here. So red color clay will be used by the player. So these are all 6 colors this dice has. We have different colors of the red color. 3, like he or she needs to make 3 such shapes, which he make 3 clay models. Now square, so he has to make, with using this clay, you have to make 3 squares. Size is medium. So in this chart, as you can see, it's a large, medium, and small. So since the dice shows medium, so I will have to make this shape or this size basically. And lastly, the pattern. So I have to use this stamp to print. So let's start if you can. So using this guide sheet, I can get to know, try to understand exact shape which I need to make. Okay. So here, using my finger, no tools basically, so I can tap, okay, and try to figure out if the size is okay or not. Okay. So yeah, I suppose similarly I made kind of red color square, medium size, and now the stamp. Yeah, so similarly we have this line one and the waves one. And now since I have got 3 size like this of same size, same color, same pattern printed on it, I will make 3 such shapes. In the box.
Yeah, so while interacting with our customers who are kids at first, we observed and got insights about different elements kids are most likely to get attracted to, such as the vibrant colors, shapes, etc., which keeps them also engaged. In one of the videos here, it shows that the kid is very energetic to show his own creativity, which somehow tells us that how important it is for them to explore and learn things independently. So coming to our hypothesis part, parents can be limiting at times. They like to guide their kids and help their kids at every stage. And when it comes to an Indian parent, the kid is like never grown up in the eyes of their parents, and they are protective and they guide the kids at every step. But this nature of theirs is also limiting their kids somehow, limiting their kids' independent learning and independent thinking capabilities. So we interacted with our different category of customers, got their insights, and along with our observations from the interviews, each of these categories had their own insights. Like with parents, they didn't much like to their kids' involvement in the digital gadgets at that early age, and that they have hectic working schedule, but still they try to take some time out for their kids. Well, for kids themselves, on the other hand, they seemed to be distracted with gadgets, and they are also impatient at times. Then from psychologists, we got some insights like how kids are getting a bit inactive in this current pandemic scenario, and how important it is to provide the kids with some
with some cognitive games, which will also help them to be more active, to develop their skills further. By interacting with some play school owners and art activity teachers, we understood that any product, if we are offering to kids, it needs to be explorative, so that they learn it and use it as per their own capabilities, and that product needs to be least complex in terms of appearance, also for any kid to understand it. And lastly, from a school principal, we got his inputs on how important is holistic development of a kid, and how learning can also be implemented while playing. Next, coming to the product concept testing part, where we introduced our game and asked customers to try it out. Since inside the campus, it was difficult for us to reach kids, we asked Vibhuti, who is our batchmate and our friend, for testing our product. We explained her the whole game and how to play it and explore new shapes with it. Moving to the verification part, where we got feedbacks from Vibhuti after testing. She found the game quite engaging as well as creative, and providing clay to kids is itself explorative. But one drawback we understood from her point is that the dice showing the sizes is little bit confusing at first, because it was difficult for her to just understand it at the first, that which sizes which, like on the sheet, which is this large, small and medium size, when she tries to compare it with the dice. So that was one feedback. Other than that, we felt that she really liked our product in terms of creativity and in terms of the idea and concept.
So initially we thought that we will just start with a basic game for toddlers, and since we are aiming for the age group from 4 to 12, even Professor Bennett suggested there itself you get 4 different groups. So each group, we thought we will try to find independent games, starting with the youngest group. I hope we come up with more innovative games in the future. We'd like to walk you through the lean canvas. This really helped us to understand what are the basic main 3 problems, how can we solve them, who are our customers, and how can we get revenue out of it. The most 3 important things that we noticed were there was lack of physical activity, children's engagement, independent learning. How can we find a solution to that? We thought we can maybe have explorative games or services, maybe something which is multi-purpose, easy to understand, and most important, cost effective. Our prototype cost us around $250, and we are aiming for parents and kids, and we'll be reaching them through schools, doctor, and pediatricians, as we had already mentioned. We expect that we reach out to schools and preschools via retailers, and if the children like our game, they would be asking their parents to buy it separately for them. Also, we thought parents can buy it from maybe stores or even e-commerce websites. Thank you for your patient listening. If there's time for Q&A.
Your opportunity. One of your insights was that kids need to go outside and play, and you've created an indoor game. What you've created is one more game. There are lots of such things available in the market. So what should your opportunity be? So that emerges from being with them, and like even looking at all the insights that you've gained, if they are spending a lot of time on digital devices, what is the compensatory activity which can balance this? I don't know, you need to get back to your opportunity space. That has to be, some eureka moment has to happen with you, that you've got something very special. So I understand the time limit, and you have to produce something in a very short period of time. But if you want to get to the market, then your opportunity has to be very, very unique. So I would send you back to square one. to rethink your opportunity itself. Children play. They don't need games. They don't need gadgets. They don't need any of these things to start playing. By their very nature, they want to play, and they play by themselves or with others, with whatever is at hand. So when you look at that, what is the minimum intervention that you need to do? See, dependence with parents at certain age, it is necessary also. It's not that it is completely unnecessary. But the parents also want them to do things by themselves. It's not that they want to do everything for themselves. They, and they do, when you're trying to sit up, they help you sit up until you can sit up by yourself, and they help you walk until you can walk by yourself, like that. But what this journey ought to be, unfortunately, all your test subjects are your own peers. Very big children. So either you change your target to bigger children, or because play is something which every age can do it. So keep everything loose until you find that thing which is very special.
Perfect, Dinesh. Excellent. Actually, in fact, I told the students that, we need to, we can actually go back to square one. We can come up with out of the box ideas. But, this, journey is very critical for us to understand how to, take this one cue from the customer and, discovery and do something wonderful. Great. Nakul, we like to have your, inputs.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Professor Chakravarti. And I think I second the thought of Professor Dinesh also. And since coming from the business side more, I primarily coming from the business side, I was actually looking at, is your solution going to be a complement to existing games or going to be a substitute to the existing games? Primarily because if we are substituting the existing games, there are many players in this space, right? Right, from building bricks to the tower, which only accommodates certain size, shape, and all. If we are trying to substitute them, then probably you'll have a very big issue about opportunity, as what Professor Dinesh mentioned. How do you define that opportunity, which is like the Eureka one? It's like should be an aha moment. Once you look at that opportunity, it's like, yes, it's a hit opportunity. If you are looking at complementing the existing solutions, then probably you'll have to accommodate your own design, your own game, to ensure that it adds on value to the existing games being played. Maybe board games, maybe digital games, maybe outdoor games. Right now, the game which you showed, and I was very intrigued by the way the design, the video that you showed, wherein that person is actually playing it. Now, when you look at the age bracket, I think you mentioned 4 to 12. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Right. So look at the academic curriculum also. Maybe by the age of 4, they are way ahead of all these basic things, right? But maybe at this juncture, you're just looking at, can you come out with a solution, looking at this course tenure, perfectly fine. But you'll have to accommodate what is the right kind of game to instill motor skills, cognitive skills, analytical skills. And that's where the opportunity identification will be possible for you, which Professor Dinesh mentioned, right? The second thing is, it's a very crowded market, right? When I read the two themes, right, I started Googling. I just searched for games for motor skills, games for analytical skills, games for cognitive skills, right? And there are two models in this. One is a subscription model, and another is an ownership model, where you have to buy it and you retain, you own it. Or you have a subscription model like organization like Rent Toys. So the parent can choose as per the age, you use the game. Once the kid gets bored, give it back, right? So you will have to see both these options available and then accordingly find what is the problem that you're trying to cater to, eventually leading to the opportunity, right? At the start, I was actually going to ask you, when are you going to hit the market? But the way you progressed and you discussed the opportunity, you went to the lean canvas, I realized that yes, there are certain gaps which you need to fill, plus the array of games. It cannot be just one game. It should be a game leading to the another, right? There's a term known as a razor and blade strategy. You sell the razor first, the blades keep going on. So maybe the base needs to be established by you and you put on top of it again and again, so that you have repeating customers, right? And if you look at the target market also, schools, pediatricians, and parents, right?
School pediatricians and doctors.
And doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd have to again rethink on articulating whether they are the right set of people, or should I only look at one of them, or should I look at other set of people who might be influencers? Doctors, pediatricians, they're influencers, right? School, a captive market. They want something new to project themselves to the outside world, saying that, yeah, we have something new, right? It might be digital, it might be something what you're thinking about. So you would have to rethink on these aspects. But yes, there is a lacuna, there is a gap existing for such a new, fresh kind of thinking required, which probably you can bring to the table. But an excellent presentation, at least from the course point of view. I'm sure Chakravarti sir would agree to me that you might be required to go back to the square one, as Professor Dinesh mentioned. But yes, you have traveled the journey now. You know, okay, again you have to travel that journey. It's much better, much more easier for you, right? You understand the process now, and you can again undertake the journey right from the scratch. Not only for this idea, but for other ideas also. Yeah, Professor Dinesh.
Don't worry about square one. You know, this our understanding of the problem and our design, they evolve together. You know, when we create something, it informs us about the problem. And going back, we do this in practice also. It's not that, you know, we keep going back to square one because, you know, you have to do that to, you know, to come up with something very well defined. Huh? So while you have progressed, going back to square one doesn't mean that everything has gone waste. No, you're going back with your wisdom that you've gained. It is part of the same journey. See, one thing I want to tell you here is that every child is born unique. We are all born unique. But the schools, the colleges, you know, everybody wants us to be something else, but tries to, you know, standardize. So how do you bring in an opportunity where you gain your capabilities, skills, without losing out on what you are? You know, the very fact that you're made to wear a uniform is part of the standardization. You know, and everybody has to learn all these subjects. Everybody has to learn everything, the same thing, and you have to achieve the same grade. It is actually ridiculous. So some rethinking you can do by yourself, you know, and find your own interpretation of what childhood and learning and playing, you know. So see, learning happens by itself. So if you enjoy the play, everything else will happen.
Thank you so much for those wonderful, suggestions, Professor Dinesh and Nakul.
One afterthought, sir. The same idea, if they pivot it, the game can be made sensible, useful for special kids.
Very true. Very true. In fact, that's the whole idea about customer discovery and pivoting in this whole process. And I'm glad that the students understood the business aspects of it. They talked about all this. Professor Shahid, would you like to just comment?
What I was when I was going through your presentation, I saw like when you are saying about independent choice and own voice. And then when you are defining your age group 4 to 12, I'm just pointing out few points. So you have to next time when you are thinking, you think about it. Is this that the age when you feel like parents feel like they should have their own voice and choice and they do whatever they want, or there should be something else? Another thing is when you are talking about your game, this whatever you have designed. So everyone already said you go back and then look and then see what extra you can give rather than the whatever existing games are already there. So your USP and how it is going to be different. And then during that period, one example came in my mind. Last December, I visited my village. So there was a school, and then I hope you are hearing me.
Yeah, we are
audible.
yeah.
So there was because of rain, a tree got fallen, and then every almost 30-40 kids were using that trunk of the tree to play and then balance it, and then that was very amazing to see. Though, so in terms of context, I'm also if you can point out somewhere, I don't know whether which area, which place you are going to offer this product, that is also going to help you out in terms of deciding. Yeah, these are the few things I thought I should point it out. And otherwise, the presentation was really nice and well thought.
Thank you so much,
Professor.
Yeah,
I'd like to thank you all the professor. Thank you for your motivation and feedback.
Maverick is an interactive game. Helps parents and play school teachers belonging to all social groups who wants to engage their kids in tangible products to increase independent learning in toddlers and inspiring them to be more creative. Unlike digital platforms like online games, social medias, etc. Thank you.
We'll catch up with the next group. We have the Professor Anu coming in.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Wonderful. Professor Anu has joined our, as a visiting faculty in our IITH School of Entrepreneurship. And she's been teaching, mentoring, outreach programs. I think, Anu, you're also an alumnus of IIT Bombay, right?
From IIT Bombay in 1990 and from IIM Bangalore in 92. Spent my career 24 years in industry in consumer marketing. So marketing and strategy in companies Titan, Unilever and Britannia, also Vodafone for a short time. So did that. Then 5 years ago, I started on a PhD program. So I'm currently at hopefully the last stages of my PhD program, and I joined IIT Bombay 3 months back as a faculty. I teach at the School of Entrepreneurship. The course I run this semester is called Introduction to Entrepreneurship. My other little piece on entrepreneurship is our batch raised money, and we set up a pre-incubation program at IIT Bombay with the Desai City School of Entrepreneurship. So we run more focused, not courses. In courses, it's more packed. And I know that one of the challenges that all of you would have faced is just not having had the time. So we take from where the courses leave off and then mentor students and provide them with grants and mentoring and workshops and prototyping support. In 3 years, we've had about 13 startups that have come out of our
Fabulous. And Anu, let me also introduce you to my, senior from IIT Bombay, Peer Sathik. He has been, he spoke a couple of times as a student, as a mentor. He's the associate chair academic at the School of Art, Design and Media, Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. He's a visiting professor also at IIT Bombay. He comes for some of our classes. He's a visiting professor at VIT too. And he also runs a couple of companies which does plastic, processing and plastic products, and he did share some valuable insights with the students.
Nice.
And he also ran a consulting office in Singapore before he became a professor at the institute. And Peer, again, thank you so much. And we are very lucky to have you also. And I'm also glad to introduce our Professor Anu to you. Now, please get together and quickly make your presentation so we have more time to listen to Anu with her comments. Yeah, yes, students, go ahead.
How many of us would have had sweating palms when we were taking maths test? How many of us would have hated our maths teachers? And hum isko bulate hain maths anxiety. All of us would have had this experience at least once in our life. According to the research, 20% of the population suffers from it. So hum kya dene wale hain? What are we changing? We are giving Minimart, a solution that has never existed in the Indian board game market, which can teach your children to see the maths in the real life, which can make maths a new friend to each and every kid. From our material design to our strategy, we are providing a unique, sustainable, and an affordable solution which can completely change the learning to a very fun experience. And we would call this Mathamagic. So if you want to bring smiles to child or your friends, then guys, this is the best gifting option. So now let us go and look at a detailed view of the Minimart. So Apurva, she's a UI UX designer. She's the research from, she's going to be leading our research and development. Arya, who has been doing the brand marketing and is the animator in our team. Archa, architect, who is also the lead designer of our team. That's me, Archana. I'm going to be part of the operating and the finance team. I'm a computer science engineer. And finally, Vaishali, who is a visual designer, who is going to be the technical lead. तो हमने already reality देख लिया है. What does max mean? Max मतलब anxiety. Anxiety मतलब no enjoyment. And because of this one reason, we never see what happens between those four walls of the classroom. So इसके बाद Archa will explain you what is actually happening and what makes our solution a unique solution. Archa, thank you.
Yes, thanks, Archana. So I'm going to be talking about the problems that we are solving. So this is our problem statement: to design a solution for the school children to make them lower the anxiety of learning mathematics and help them understand its application in a real life situation. So we have understood that a majority of kids in a class are scared of mathematics. So what can be done to make mathematics more fun and easy to learn, and how can we help them to reduce the anxiety towards mathematics? So what are our focus areas? So we are helping students to apply mathematics in real life scenario, instead of mugging them up, like they learn in the class. Why are we doing this? So the teachers, from our research, we have understood that the teachers still follow this conventional method of teaching. That is, they write on the blackboard, the students copy it on their notebook, and then they learn it by heart. So there isn't an involvement of an engaging visual design as such in this entire teaching process, especially for students from 4th standard and above. And you might have noticed how parents buy educational games for kids when they are in kindergarten, and how they eventually stop doing that, and as the kid grows up, they depend solely on the school and the teachers for their education. So we want kids to see maths as fun and not anything as a nightmare. And in order to reach the design, we did many interviews of teachers, students, and parents. And Arya will take you through it from here. Arya, over to you.
Yeah, so let's see a small clip of all the interviews that we have.
Actually, a very serious task to find the correct choice. It's really cumbersome job, I would say. And in fact, whatever options are available, in fact, for that also you need to do a lot of R&D, whether it is a useful or not yet. Yes, will it solve the purpose, sort of this culture.
ज्यादा हो सके वैसे प्रैक्टिकल एग्जाम्पल या कुछ दिखा के एक्सप्लेन करके वो सब वैसे करके हम सिखाते हैं. 99% बच्चे किसी को मैथ्स पसंद नहीं है, उनको समझ में ही नहीं आता है.
എല്ലാവരുടെയും മാത്സിനോടുള്ള ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് വളരെ കുറവാണ്. ഒരു ക്ലാസ്സിൽ ചിലപ്പോൾ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് ഉള്ളവർ 1-2 പിള്ളേരെ കാണുന്നുണ്ട്. മാത്സിനോട് ഓവർ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് ഉള്ളവർ. ബാക്കി എല്ലാവരും മാത്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു പേടി സ്വഭാവമായിട്ട് കണക്കാക്കുന്നവരാണ്. അത് ഏത് രാജ്യമായാലും.
मैथ मतलब बच्चे समझ लेते हैं कि फार्मूला को रिमेम्बर करना है. एक रोट लर्निंग जो है उसको ज्यादा बल देते हैं, और बच्चे के मन में ये बैठ जाता है कि ये जो हमारा फार्मूला है या ये टेबल है, तो ये सबको हमको रिमेम्बर करना, यही मैथ है. जबकि मैथ जो है कहीं डिफरेंट. हम लोग सब्जी खरीदने जाते हैं, 250 ग्राम लिया, आधा किलो कुछ लिया, मतलब डिफरेंट सब्जी ले लिया. हम तुम जो है सोचते रहोगे कि कितना कॉस्ट हुआ उसका, और वो सब्जी वाला पता रहता है कितने पैसे. जबकि वो जो है हमारे आपकी तरह मैथ में पढ़ा है. इसका जो है एक अलग है जोड़ने का तरीका, उसको हम लोग मैथमेटिक्स भी बोलते हैं टेक्निकल टर्म. तो वो जो है वो ऐसा करता है. तो वहाँ मैथ्स है कि मैथ्स हमने जो पढ़ा उसको हम अपने प्रैक्टिकल डेली लाइफ में कैसे यूज करते हैं.
The interest for maths decreases as you go in the higher classes. Lower classes at least they are interested, but as the things become complex for them, they lose interest when they come to the secondary classes. So in comparing quantities, which is there, the child feels difficult to understand algebra and comparing quantities, profit and loss. That becomes one of the important topics that the child doesn't understand it unless they have a practice or small generation who deal with money. They must be knowing what is money, but actual dealing with the money is not being done. They do not know much about it. So understanding that becomes a difficult for them. Percentages, simple interest, compound interest.
From all these interviews, we got the insights from teachers, from parents and students. So teachers' concerns were how complex concepts in maths just keeps on building up as the classes increase. And if the foundation itself isn't strong, then what's the point of keep on building on the things, on the concept, and then the kid wouldn't understand. By the time they are in 12th and 10th, they just won't opt for maths, even if they have a choice. And the parents have this concern as to, even if we buy a gift, is it interesting enough, as well as educating them, is it worth the money that we are spending? And the students have such a huge anxiety about maths because it's difficult, and the sometimes it's the language barrier, and sometimes is the way the teachers are teaching and they are not able to understand. That's why we have created this game where the job that we are doing is to remove the anxiety, to remove the language barrier, to make the kids understand that it's not a nightmare. It's something you have to enjoy, to actually understand. And how we are doing it, we have created a game, a board game, which is inspired from the traditional game of Palanguri, and it teaches kids that the real life concepts of market, and how we buy and sell and use money, and from that point we teach them the concepts of math. And it breaks the language barriers. You don't need to understand any language in the game. There's none of it, and you can just play with your parent or your teacher or your friends, and it actually reduces the anxiety that kids face when trying to learn math.
Yeah, so as Arya mentioned, our game is inspired from Palanguri, and in this we will be teaching kids how to deal with mathematics anxiety, and through this game we are trying to teach kids profit and loss, addition, subtraction, multiplication, concept of money, interest, loans. So after taking the inspiration from Palanguri, we all sat together and we brainstormed and tried to change different rules, and so that we can introduce these concepts in the game. Now we will show you a small video of the game. Mini Matter. It is a multiplayer market-themed board game. The game starts with one player picking up shells from any one of the pits and distribute it counterclockwise to all the pits to move around the game. People try to buy and trade toys, take loans from banks, and try to earn profit and gather maximum number of toys. The main concept of the game is that every person should try to make as much profit and to avoid going bankrupt. Through this game, we are intending to teach concepts like profit and loss, loans, interest, basic addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and concept of money and market.
So we decided that we need to test our concept, whether it actually works in the real life scenario, or we are just thinking that children will be engaged. Here are a few experiments that we conducted. We asked a few kids to participate with us in playing the game, and they were from around 4th to 6th class. And the result was the children were very excited, firstly, to see all the coins and how the game is, because it's a tactile game, so they can actually play with it hands-on, and they found it interesting. And also there were some children who were not taught profit and loss in school yet, but still through this game they learned it quite ahead of their class, and they found it very engaging. So they wanted to come back, even though it was experiment, they wanted to come back and keep playing the game, which I think was sort of a success for us, because we know that it is engaging and children are actually excited to play the game. So then we started working on our lean canvas model. Here, the problem that we were targeting is anxiety in learning maths, and students also have a lack of interest and they don't understand the application of it in real life situations. Existing alternatives are Byju's, mobile games, other board games, activity-based learning, practical examples that the teachers are already giving in class. Our solution is teaching maths through a board game. The key metrics is the interaction between the students and students, whoever is playing, or if their students are playing with their parents or their teachers. So this creates a increased amount of engagement of the kids, and they are playing, so they don't realize they're learning while playing. Our unique value proposition is creating a exciting real-time scenario through which we are indirectly showing how maths is applied in real life. Because most of the time the question is that ये use होगा क्या life में बाद में. So everyone is not aware of whether we are going to use this or not. So this is somewhere where they will know that yes, maths is used in real life, and you need to study it for that, and we are making it fun. So it can also be a very good gifting option for parents to give other children, etc. So the high level concept is we are redeveloping a game for multiplayers. Our unfair advantage is we are teaching them how to apply formulas in real life, so they can derive formulas on their own while playing this game. Our channels would be our own website, Amazon, Flipkart, eBay, gift shops, or toy shops. Customer segments are parents, family, friends, relatives, gift shops, toy companies, fun school. Early adopters could be the parents that we are communicating. And the cost structure here is, so basically, I'll be talking in the next slide more about the material, but we are going for a hemp-based board and toys. There will be shells that are played with, as you saw in the game. There'll be the labor cost for working on this model, manufacturing cost, packaging, the manual printing cost, the distribution cost, and marketing. So for the revenue streams, as we didn't have much time, but we could work on it as much. Here is like who pays. So we would pitch it to sponsors, investors. And also we would try to get a loan because if the cost is not covered with what the investors are investing in. We can also think of selling a bit of equity to famous board game makers so that we get extra funds. And what is paid is money, shares, outsource. We can outsource our manufacturing as well. How it is paid is through credit. How much is paid is like the game cost, and what is paid for the raw materials that we would need, the manufacturing, packaging, marketing, and distribution. So what is the innovation in our design? So the material we're using is hemp wood. It's basically a plant pulp extract. And it is, we found out that one hemp plant is equal to 12 trees. So we are saving on trees, and this hemp plant is also grows faster, and it's much easier to grow than the normal trees. So this is a way more sustainable product, and it is lighter than wood. It is stronger, so children can carry it around, because wood will be very it will have a lot of weight if it falls on their feet. So this is much lighter, it's stronger, and it's less expensive than wood products. This material can be fully recycled. So there's no waste in production, and it can be fully recycled. And we can use injection molding for creating the molds that are there in our game. Moving on, Arjuna will explain the last.
So what is next? Right now, we're trying to increase the number of players, and we are going to conduct participant observation for this to see if it's going to be successful or not. And as previously Apurva explained, we are using hemp wood, and we have to actually create a functional prototype to test its durability. And finally, we want to share this beautiful prototype with the world. And I would just like to conclude by telling, mathematics is not about numbers, equations, or computations, or algorithms. It is just about understanding. So let's start understanding mathematics by making friends with it. Thank you.
Thanks. Very good. I think students did a very good team effort. Please, Anu, all yours.
So first, I want to say that many things resonated with me. I'm going to pick out the two most because that's how I've been taught to give feedback. So the problem resonated with me. And your articulation of the problem was wonderful. Math anxiety, just 2 words, and we all know what that means. So very good articulation of the problem. What also worked is actually both the content and the visual dimension of your presentation. So not just the visuals, but the content, the flow, etc. So I think those are the two things I will definitely remember a few months later also. And that usually is telling quite a bit because I see many such texts every day in my job. So I could go on and on about, the way you presented your consumer learnings. Outstanding. I mean, obviously you all have talent, so you drew out some of it, animated it. I could hear the consumer's voice. Now I'm going to give you business feedback. I think, and I have a little bit of background on this because I have a kid I was obsessed with when he was younger, and I have been part of many parental groups and so on. So what I want you to think hard about, very hard about, is who is the pinpoint customer? Is the pinpoint customer 4th standard to 6th standard, 1st standard to 3rd standard? And are they middle class? Are they affluent? Are they, because you're doing some things where you're saying language is not a barrier, which means you want to be middle class. Then you're saying, I want to be sustainable. Other than the top end of society, the rest of us don't care or don't have the money to pay for it. You know, we may care, we don't have the money to pay for it. So your design or solution has to flow from who's your pinpoint customer. So pinpoint customer, again, one more thing, if it's kid in grade 1 to 3, parent is the buyer. If it's kid in grade 4 upwards, kids themselves are buyers. So all of that solution, the solution of your product will flow from that customer segment pinpointing, and that will come only from more and more understanding and research. Understanding also of existing alternatives. I actually don't think Byju's is an alternative. I think QMath is perhaps an alternative and not Byju's. Because folks like QMath want to teach math by concepts and not, so a little granular understanding on that. The second I start from is your articulation of the solution, which is, are you teaching math? Are you supplementing math teaching? Then your behavior will change. Then you are saying, I am collaborating with teachers. I am not competing with teachers, and you're not. I don't think you are intending to. So I think some of their nuances, but they will not just make a difference in how other people perceive you, but how you perceive yourself and work on that space. Yeah, I think when you do your customer understanding further, you must also explore, why is math important? Why do parents? All of us are obsessed with math. But we almost are obsessed with it कि ये खत्म हो जाना चाहिए, मतलब ये get it over with. But I don't know if that is, and I'm not saying that's the right answer. It's just one person's speech. That's But why is math important? Yeah. Also, sir, there are 2 things for every product to satisfy. You have to be relevant and you have to be differentiated. You are wonderfully relevant. The moment you said that word math anxiety, you are wonderfully relevant. You're in that relevant space. But are you differentiated? I don't know. Are you also, and when you say teaching, I'm like, aap log ek profit and loss sikha doge. How many such things? How will you start teaching algebra? Geometry is very teachable, by the way, using your board games. So somewhere you have to sit down and map a textbook, 4th standard textbook or whichever class. I'm not saying which class, but whatever class you decide. But first you should look at the math syllabi and say, maybe this is where we can influence the most. Think about how many barriers you want to break at the same time. So you are saying maths is a barrier. Then this board game is a barrier. Why don't you want to do this digitally? I mean, I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying, how much water do you want to push up the hill? Then you want to make it sustainable. So each of these is a barrier. You have to do some things easy. So is it more important for kids to learn math and enjoy math? Or is more important for your team for kids to learn math and enjoy math using board games? I don't know the answer. You can do an app and I could play the same things that you are telling me. It may get more
exciting. Yeah.
No, it might get more acceptability, but it may not serve the purpose that we all feel that, kids are already addicted to screen. Should we make them more addicted? But dhanda karne aaye ho. You are here. You're not a social organization. So I'm just trying to say, think of it in these steps. Think of the customer, and if 1 to 3, 3 to 5, I'm talking of grades, I'm not talking of years. Maybe there's a market for 2 to 4 years also, I don't know. The other, you have to find till what role do you play in the parent's life. So in the early stage, let's say kids from age 1 to 5, parents actually see themselves as the teachers. One of you said they give up. So do you want to make that giving up point later, or do you want to help her more when she's starting when the child is 1? I unfortunately can only ask you questions. I can't give you answers. But all I'm trying for you to do is this customer segment. Anybody who writes all these as customer segments now doesn't know their customer segment. Your customer segment has to be tight, like that Arjun arrow of Arjun and the eye of the, that's no, the market when you talk to an investor is large, but who do you start with is important. One theory class, revenue streams don't mean money from investors. Revenue means turnover, dhanda. What do you sell for? So this box, you should not add investor and shareholder and so on. This is simply how do you sell. I think if you want to be, you can be a great teaching aid to teachers in school. So your channels need not be digital. They can be sold through schools. You will get faster adoption. But that is provided you get teachers as your ally for the concept itself. So great. Loved what you presented. Thank you.
Thanks, Anu. And we give all the credit to that interviews to our GDC team. Raghu and all those guys were there. Raghu, Rajiv, Anand. We had so much of input, but I'm very happy that the students also used it to do some of the work.
No, very nice.
Yeah. So
sorry, I had written one line which I didn't tell you.
Please go ahead.
Just what are insights? So one trick is to pull out insights. Like when you had that consumer speaking, I would write down a line which summarizes what that customer actually was saying. May not be just what they, it's not a translation. It's a what were they actually trying to say. You know, you said one thing, which is fun and study are separated. Do students separate them? Do parents separate them? Do teachers separate them? Who thinks that study can't be fun? And the moment you say study is fun, do you narrow your segment? Maybe you narrow your segment, but that's fine. We have 130 crore Indians. Narrow segment is more than enough for us to, make our company work. So pretty much that's what I wanted to tell you, which is insight, tighter customer segment, and mapping one maths book and seeing if, and the other reason I wanted to talk to you about digital versus physical board game is, even if I take one class, which is grade 4, they teach multiple concepts in that. So at least I should be a helper for 25% of the concept, which means I don't know, do I have to buy 5 board games to be able to get past grade 4? Then that's too much to expect, is what I was thinking. Maybe it's not right, but don't say no to digital. There's nobody teaching me math in a fun way digitally. It's a great space. Everything you have said, I've just kind of taken hemp and made it screen. I don't like it, but maths to seek jayenge. There is
the problem is solved.
The problem will be solved, which
is important.
Thank you.
Very true.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you
nice.
so much, Anu. This is wonderful. Yeah. I'm so glad Anu gave such wonderful feedback. Also, when she spoke, it looked like we would put all those 8 days of learning into one, the one bracket, which is very nice. Yeah.
Maths has always been a big contributor to anxiety in school students because students never enjoy the subject and they never apply maths beyond the 4 walls of classroom. We present you Minimart. Minimart allows kids to enjoy maths by creating a real-time scenario of how maths works in everyday life. Our Minimart helps the teachers and parents who want to lower the anxiety of learning mathematics in children to help them understand its application in real-life situation and to reduce maths anxiety, unlike the traditional classroom teaching.